Hey there, you guys. So I officially picked up Wulong Fallen Dynasty, and I've been playing it for a couple of hours. And I just wanted to say some impressions of the game away from the demo. So I feel like I played the demo and I got a good gist of it, but I didn't really dive too much into it just because I wanted to wait for the full game. And now that I played the full game, and I just wanted to see some. I just want to talk about some things that I've noticed that are different than what I was kind of expecting based off the demo. So for any of you guys who played the demo and you guys are kind of curious to see how how much of an example the demo set comparative to the full game, this is gonna be like just some quick impressions of I guess how comparative the demo is to the actual full game. In case you guys were wondering about buying this game and if the demo was a good example of what this game is. But real quick, before we hop into the video, you guys, if you guys like what you guys see, or if you guys are at all interested in the channel, do me a favor, like the video and maybe consider subscribing. It definitely helps me a lot. With that, let's get back to the video. Alright, yeah, so one of the things that I noticed first thing in the demo was that first boss was a huge skill check, and he was definitely necessary, but he was a little bit overpowered, I think, for the situation. I feel like getting away from the boss, the couple other bosses that I've met afterwards have not been, I guess, as damaging. That could be because I feel like during that first boss, you kind of like have to use all your tools and use all your arsenal and utilizing the mechanics that this game has. So I feel like it definitely sets you up for what you need to do for the rest of the game. I just feel like maybe like the second phase of it was a little bit unnecessary. I feel like that was just to like let you know that you're getting into a difficult game. But when you get actually into the real game, I don't feel like it was as difficult as I feel like that boss kind of set me up for. So if you were at all intimidated by that first boss, I promise you just stick to it, get through it, and the game definitely kind of scales down from there. Something that I definitely feel was a little overwhelming was the amount of loot this game gives you. I feel like almost everybody I kill has loot, and every time I get into an area, there's just loot scattered everywhere. And like that's fine. I like loot. Loot's fun. I just feel like, am I gonna need all this loot at the end of the game? I'm still early on, so who knows? But it's definitely a lot that they throw at you. I feel like when it comes to the story of this game, I think I was expecting something a little bit more in depth, but I kind of feel like so far the story has been a little bit of a throwaway. I almost kind of just ignore it and kind of just don't even care about what's going on to the characters of the world. But with that, I mean, it definitely helps you focus more on the gameplay of it all, and that's definitely where this game shines. The gameplay is just really incredible. I think like some of the things that you can level up and customize in the game are definitely what makes this game a lot more fun. I feel like with Elden Ring being the biggest hit that it was, especially for the Souls-like genre, I'm sure tons of people definitely got into the genre off of Elden Ring. So I feel like this is a huge contrast away from Elden Ring, and I wonder how many people are going to hate that. This game definitely has smaller areas to traverse, where Elden Ring is vast worlds, and that's not something that I was like, that I knew going into this. I knew it was gonna be a smaller world. I knew it wasn't gonna be a huge open world like Elden Ring, and that's kind of what interested me in this. I kind of wanted something that was more guided, and I like that about this. One thing that I didn't expect that I am loving in this game is the verticality of everything, how high you can get and how you can attack from the above, or you can throw your bow and arrow. You can definitely find different ways to attack your enemy from different angles, and I think the verticality of the maps that they have definitely helps with that. So I'm someone who grew up playing a bunch of hack and slash games, and I feel like with this game it's very easy to get carried away. There's like a lot of moments where you start feeling a little bit overpowered, and you start slashing through enemies and just thinking a little bit recklessly. And this game definitely likes to check you on that. Like, you think you're just slashing through enemies, and then you turn the corner and there's just a whole bunch more. And then they kind of surround you, and then it really challenges you to play the game more smartly. So I feel like for people who are typically used to playing more hack and slash type games, this is definitely going to be, it's fun. There's definitely traits in this or moments that feel very hack and slashy that allow you to like just slash through enemies. Just remember that this game is going to check you on your knowledge of the game and mechanics, and it's going to make sure that you know that you have to know these in order to progress further in the game. Just something random that I keep thinking about in this game that I thought was just really funny. Some of the character animations, I think I think Team Ninja thought they were looking really cool, and then they just ended up looking very silly, which is fine. It's just funny, but it doesn't look very human-like or lifelike sometimes. Some of the animations, and I think it just adds something funny to look at in the game. I feel like there's not as much variety in the enemies that I wish that there was. I feel like there was a little bit more, just something different to mix it up. But as far as the bosses go, they are definitely very diverse and definitely very taxing sometimes. But I feel like none of them are ever unfair, and I feel like that's like the best part about this game is that it's challenging, but they definitely give you breaks. With that being said, they have something really cool that I feel like a lot of more Souls like should probably try to emulate or have in there or just include, because I feel like it definitely helps with accessibility. It's as you like traverse through different areas, you find these little like fortitude flags that you can put in that pretty much make the area around you and the enemies around you a little bit weaker. That way, like, I mean, the game, you've already proved to the game that you made it through there, so that now it's just easier to kind of navigate and traverse around and look for items and stuff like that. So I feel like that definitely takes away some of the cumbersome that sometimes these Souls-like can have when you kind of just have enemies respawn and respawn and respawn. So one, it makes it easier to grind, and then two, it takes away some of the cumbersome of getting rid of some of these enemies all the time. Again, I feel like graphically this game is nothing to write home about, but the game definitely impresses me with the aesthetic. It definitely feels like a lot of thought was put into what everyone was wearing and how just everything looks. So yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing how difficult this game can progress, as well as just the different sceneries that they can include. It is always really cool to meet some of the characters. So like I was a big fan of Dynasty Warriors growing up, so seeing a lot of familiar faces, familiar names is always really cool. I feel like my biggest takeaway from this game is it definitely helps me get into mindset of how these Souls-likes kind of play as far as combat goes. I feel like I understand the strategy that it takes and the fact that you're not always just on the offensive, but you're always trying to find ways around not taking as much damage, but also delivering as much damage to the bosses and enemies that you can. And I feel like that's kind of the big thing that I'm really loving in this, and this is for me at least, a really good dip your toes into the Souls-like genre. And I'm pretty sure after this, I'm probably gonna want to try some other things. I have Sekiro on my mind, and maybe just retry Dark Souls and see if maybe my skills from this game can transition into some of those other games. And hopefully, I find a new genre that I really like to play. With all that being said, these are still some of my early thoughts. I could definitely change my mind throughout the game. Maybe I could run into that boss that just pisses me off and I throw the controller away and I'm no longer playing this one. But as of right now, I'm definitely excited to continue and see what else this game has to offer. With that, let me know, you guys, if you guys are trying this game out. If there's any other Souls-likes maybe you guys can recommend. With that, I'll see you guys in the next video.